Hello friends, welcome to English का ज्ञान चिंतन के साथ and likewise we do on every weekend. Today we are going to discuss these two words with meaning and with sentence without wasting any time. Okay, so let's start the discussion. The word number 93 and the word itself is curtail. If I talk about the category of this particular verb, of this particular word, then it is verb. And if I talk about the meaning of this particular word, then it is either reduce or decrease. It means like whenever in our day-to-day communication, whenever we use either reduce word or decrease word, right? Those words can be replaced with curtail word, right? This is what the simplest definition of the curtail word or in which context the word can be utilized. So whenever you guys use either reduce or decrease, try to use curtail instead of those words, and that will improve your vocabulary in your day-to-day communication, right? I hope you understand the meaning. And now let's go for the first sentence in which I have utilized the word curtail. And the sentence is incumbent government. Incumbent means existing government. It means the government who is or which is or which rules the state or current or country currently. It means the existing government should take stern actions. Stern means strict actions to curtail human movement in this period of pandemic to stop spread of disease. It means government should take some strict action to decrease the human movement or to reduce the human movement in this time of pandemic to spread the to stop the spreading of this disease. So instead of using reduce human movement, instead of using decrease human movement, right? I have utilized the word curtail. And I think it is the responsibility of government that they should make some strict rules, and people should also follow those rules and regulation to somehow curtail human movement within the city area, within the village area, between the cities also, so that in this time of pandemic the spread of disease will be curtailed, or the spread of disease will be reduced, or the spread of disease will be decreased, right? And this is the way until we get the vaccine. This is the only way by which we can save our lives. Okay. So instead of using reduce and decrease, I have utilized the word curtail. Okay. Now let me go to the second sentence in which the curtail word has been utilized, and let's try to understand the different context in which the word can be utilized. The sentence is something like this. People should do enough physical exercise to curtail obesity problem. Obesity means motapa, right? Obesity means the problems of fat in the body, right? So people should do enough exercise to reduce obesity problems, to decrease obesity problems, or to reduce fat problems. So instead of using reduce and decrease, I have utilized word curtail because it has the same meaning, and you can replace decrease or reduce with or by using curtail word, right? And why I have written children in the blanket in the blanks, because in today's world, in this temporary world, or what I can say in this contemporary world or modern world, I would say children are so much habituated to use the electronic gadgets, and just because of that reason they are not doing enough physical exercise, and eventually they are suffering from the this kind of obesity problems, and just because of that reason it is necessary for them to do enough physical exercise to decrease obesity problem, right? So instead of using decrease we have utilized the word curtail. Now let's go to the news article in which I have seen this particular word has been utilized. And the headline is something like this: Delhi traders curtail business hours voluntarily as pandemic becomes critical. So in Delhi, actually, so many employers, I would say, so many employers has curtailed business hours, has decreased business hours for the respective employees, or has reduced business hours for the respective employees to be safe in this time of pandemic. So, like, so many private companies are also there in the market who are, or like, they are quite supportive as far as the employees health is concerned. So they are quite supportive in nature, and just because of that reason they have curtailed the business hours for their employees to work. They have decreased the business hours for their employees to work so that they will get less affected from this disease. And as the less hours to be worked, there will be less stress ultimately, the less hours of traveling also. So by doing all these things, like, the employers are trying to help employees by curtailing the business hours, by decreasing the business hours to be safe in this pandemic time. So instead of using decrease and reduce, the headline has utilized the curtail word. Okay, now let's go to the second sentence, or what I can say, the second word, and the word is optimistic. If I talk about the category of this word, then it is adjective. And if I talk about the meaning of this particular word, then either you can consider positive, or you can consider as a confident. But if I talk about the specific meaning, then it is, you can consider as a hopeful. When any individual is quite hopeful about his or her future, or about any possibility, then that particular individual can be considered as optimistic, or that particular thing can be considered as optimistic. In Hindi, like, I would say, जब कोई इंसान बहुत ही आशावादी होता है, that can be considered as a optimistic, right? Positive attitude towards the future, right? That can be considered as a optimistic, that I am optimistic about my future, although right now the time is not that much good, but still we should be optimistic about our future. We should be hopeful about our future. So let's try to discuss the first sentence. Optimistic individuals can easily survive difficult times in life. Or if I read the same sentence in another way, then hopeful individuals means the individual who are quite hopeful. They will not face the problems of depression. They will not face the problems of mental ailments because they are quite hopeful. They are quite positive in nature. They are quite confident in their nature. And just because of that reason, they can easily survive the difficult times without any problem. So instead of using hopeful, instead of using positive individual, instead of using confident individual, we have utilized the word optimistic individuals. It means individuals who are quite hopeful, who are not negative as far as their future is concerned, right? Who are positive in their nature, they can easily survive the difficult times in life. Okay, so I hope you understand the meaning of in optimistic word and in which context the word can be utilized. Let's go for the second sentence which I have created by using the optimistic word. And the second sentence is: children are the most optimistic individual in this time of pandemic. Because see, uh, the adults, and if I talk about the earning member of the family, let's say for example, if I take the example, very basic example, then the fathers of the family, they have so many things going on in their mind, like whether the job is going to be retained or not, how the financial problems will be solved, and all those things. So all those negativities are there in the minds of adults as well as the earning members of the family, their mother in the minds of mothers also. But the children are the entities who are not worried about the future. Okay, or to some extent they are also not aware about the situation, and just because of that reason, like, they are the most optimistic individual in this time of pandemic. They are the most hopeful individuals in this time of pandemic, because to some extent they are not aware about the situation, and just because of that they are not worried about the results, and just because of that reason they are hopeful that okay, everything will be fine in near future. So in this time of pandemic, like, to some extent each and every individual should have thinking likewise children do, right? So that is the reason, like, instead of using hopeful, instead of using positive, instead of using confident, the word optimistic has been utilized in the second sentence, right? Now let me go to the news article in which the optimistic word has been utilized. And the news headlines, or the headline, says something like this: according to the survey, Indians are optimistic about raise in salary and the future jobs. Indians are hopeful. Indians are positive that okay, in future, in near future, more number of jobs will be created, more number of increments will be given. So in that context, the sentence has been written, and instead of using Indians are hopeful about the jobs, they have utilized the word Indians are optimistic about the jobs and about the increments that they are going to get. Okay, so I hope you understand both these words with meaning in sentences, and if you really feel you have learned something from this particular video, then do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. We will meet next weekend with more words, with more meanings, and with more sentences. Till then, bye bye, and try to use these words as much as you can in your day-to-day communications to build habit of using these words in your communication. Thank you so much for watching my video. We will meet next weekend. Thank you so much.